Anorexia nervosa, symptoms. What is anorexia nervosa? It is natural for people to wish they look better than they are or be able to do something to alleviate or at least improve their physical imperfections. Some people wish they look slim and sexy like the models they see in the media. There is nothing wrong with wanting to look beautiful, or even putting in an effort towards making these dreams of achieving a better figure come true. However, if the preoccupation of becoming slim and sexy starts to become an obsession, to the point of harming a person's health, they may be at risk of developing an eating disorder such as anorexia nervosa. Anorexia nervosa is an eating disorder that can affect men and women of any age. The demographic at most risk are females and particularly teenage girls. An individual who has anorexia nervosa will be found to have an intense fear of becoming fat, continued refusal to maintain a healthy weight and extreme dissatisfaction with his or her own physical looks. Anorexics will usually view mealtimes as a highly stressful event, to be avoided or endured. They spend many hours of the day thinking about diet and its effects on their physical looks. They can become so obsessed with not gaining weight that such thoughts preoccupy their minds nearly all the time, leaving little or no time for their families, friends, and activities that used to bring them joy. Life, for people with anorexia, is nothing but an endless pursuit of becoming thin. As much as possible, their activities are based around avoiding weight gain and increasing weight loss. Unfortunately, their relentless dream of becoming slim can lead to extreme behaviors that harm not just their health but also their relationships with other people. Behaviors associated with anorexia nervosa. Diet obsessions. Anorexics are obsessed with dieting and weight reduction even when they have already reduced to a weight considered unhealthy. People who have anorexia nervosa adhere to extreme and irrational dietary restrictions. Anorexics will label foods with fats and carbohydrates as bad foods and strenuously avoid them. Their thoughts are greatly preoccupied with counting caloric consumption, looking at food labels, measuring portions, writing in a food journal, and reading diet books. Most will have developed the habit of cleverly lying about their food consumption, or lack of it. They will make excuses to avoid meal times, and if they must partake, they may have secretive food rituals such as chewing the food but secretly spitting it out later. Thoughts about being fat. Anorexics continually perceive themselves as fat even when in reality they are utterly thin and underweight. They will keep on denying that they are already too thin, and some anorexics conceal their malnourished looks by wearing loose-fitting clothes. Some think that there are certain parts of their body that need to be trimmed. For example, they believe that their hips or their thighs have excess fat coverage, when they have none. They are also fixated with clothing sizes and body shapes. Classic anorexics never get tired of weigh-ins, and even the tiniest fluctuations of weight on their scales can be the cause of great anxiety. Purging habits. Purging is one of the most harmful habits that anorexics develop. This means causing themselves to vomit what they have recently consumed for fear that it will cause them to gain extra weight, even though the quantity may have been minute. They force themselves to vomit to prevent the food from being assimilated into their digestive process. Anorexic sufferers develop ways of subtly disappearing after meals to go to the bathroom, only to reappear smelling of mouthwash or breath mints. Symptoms of anorexia. In all aspects of human behavior, it can be unfair or to throw around the word normal, as it can marginalize those who don't fall into the range of normal, and this can be subjective. However, it is very necessary for human health that normal ranges in measurements and behaviors are defined so that those who deviate from these ranges can be offered help or treatment. It is the deviation from the norm, which is a large part of medical diagnosis. This very much applies to eating disorders. The behaviors exhibited by someone with an eating disorder are viewed by the person affected as a survival mechanism, although they themselves may not perceive it in those terms. Similar to alcoholics drink to excess to be able to cope, people with eating disorders will severely restrict their food intake to be able to cope with their negative beliefs and perceptions about their looks and self-worth. If you think your loved one is affected with an eating disorder such as anorexia nervosa, this video will be helpful. Behavioral symptoms. The obvious defining feature of individuals affected with anorexia is extreme weight loss. However, the behavioral symptoms of this disorder will have to occur first before extreme weight loss will occur. Research shows that anorexia is more common among teenage girls, or is more likely to begin in this life phase. They may decide to go on a diet and eventually develop changes in their eating habits. As their eating habits change, their attitude towards food and their perceptions about their body image also change. The problem worsens when they start making up reasons and excuses to avoid eating. Behaviors can develop which include having mealtime rituals such as consciously and methodically dividing up portions, carefully selecting a certain kind of food or chewing the food in a very slow manner to lengthen the time spent at a dinner table. Paradoxically, anorexics can seemingly have an obsession with food. They may collect plenty of cookbooks, cut out pictures of foods or cook huge meals for the whole family without actually eating or even tasting any of it. The aim in these behaviors is to create an impression that they are eating more than they actually are. Emotional symptoms. Individuals with anorexia nervosa often have difficulty processing emotional information. They have a tendency to misconstrue other people's emotions, especially when these emotions relate to themselves. For example, they can assume that a person is angry with them when in fact that person is expressing concern. Most anorexics also tend to avoid situations that are emotionally intense. Studies which used brain imaging systems show that anorexics have dysregulated reward emotion circuitry, which explains why they find decreased or inhibited pleasure in food, physical affection, sex, rest and other activities that bring pleasure to those who do not have anorexia nervosa. To an anorexic, a chocolate cake might taste no better than a tablespoon of cod liver oil, and words of affection may be misconstrued as hurtful. Affection and human contact may be avoided in the same way as nourishing foods. Physical symptoms. The physical symptoms of anorexia may not be apparent and can be hidden for a couple of months before they become obvious to those around them. Anorexics will hide their physical symptoms by wearing loose clothing. They are also extra careful about disrobing in front of anyone else for fear that others will make comments or in any way interfere with their weight loss goals. Other physical symptoms may be not as easy to hide, such as brittle nails, dry skin and dark circles around the eyes. As the disorder progresses, anorexics will suffer from malnutrition and dehydration, which can also lead to more serious health complications such as osteoporosis, hormonal problems, seizures and heartbeat irregularities, among many other health problems. We thank you so much for watching. If you've liked the video, give it a thumb up. Tell us if you have experienced any of these symptoms or anyone close to you in the comment section. Don't forget to share with your friends. For more nutrition, health and beauty tips, please subscribe to our channel.